Hey everybody, it's Alex, the founder and CEO of Motoroso.com, your dedicated mods marketplace. If you've been following along with our channel, you know we've got a 2020 C8 Corvette, and we've been testing a bunch of new mods and parts and taking the car to the racetrack and really beating on it. And we've been having a lot of problems with the brakes. The brakes seem to be the weak point on the C8, even though we've got the Z51 performance brakes. Now at the racetrack, they were starting to fade. They actually warped the rotors. We had to upgrade the pads to get those to work better. The G-Lock pads have been great in the car, not quite as much of a problem, but we still managed to overheat the system, and we went into limp mode and lost half of a track day at Laguna Seca. Had to flush out all the fluid. Seemed to be a little bit better after that, but still having brake fade issues. So again, the problem here is that the brakes are the weak point on this Corvette. I mean, I first noticed it on the street, and then that definitely came true when we went to the racetrack. So if you're planning to push the performance of your Corvette and you want better braking performance, you're gonna wanna know about what we're about to talk about, because we're talking about the new Brembo GT system with the BM6 caliper. This is the kit we've chosen to upgrade the brakes on our C8 Corvette. Now listen, we make these videos so that you can learn more about the performance products in the aftermarket. And if you want to support what we're doing so we can make more videos, it really helps us if you'll subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you get the alerts for the videos that we're making. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and then hit the comment section with questions or additions to what we're talking about here, because we love your feedback and we respond to every single comment. In addition to that, we sell all of these products at great prices. We have over 1 million top name brand products at Motoroso.com, where you can reach us on live chat, or you can call us toll free at 833-MOTOROSO. That's 833-668-6767. Let's dig in. Now you're probably already well aware of the fact that Brembo is the manufacturer of the Z51 brakes on the Stingray. But this is not going to be the pinnacle of performance that Brembo can offer, because this is an OEM system. They had to keep the cost down, and when the Z06 comes out, it's going to have way better braking options. It's a 4-piston caliper up front and a 350mm rotor, and they work pretty well for street driving, but if you're gonna push it, and especially if you're gonna take it to the racetrack, you're gonna want some better braking performance, and that's where the Brembo GT systems come in from the aftermarket. These GT systems come in 3 different configurations. You have the traditional M6 caliper, very traditional looking. It's the technology they've been using for a long time. It's a cast monoblock caliper, and you can get it for $4,000 with a 350mm rotor, or you can bump up to the 380mm rotor for $4,600. But for $100 more, you can bump up to the kit that has the new BM6 caliper, and this is what we've chosen for our C8 Corvette. There's a lot of reasons you're going to be excited about this, and this is what you need to know. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about is the BM6 caliper, because it's really the star of the show. Now, Brembo's a big company, and they have multiple manufacturing facilities in Milan, Italy. But the factory where their most advanced manufacturing processes occur is their motorsports factory. And while the traditional M6 caliper is made in some of their other factories, the BM6 comes out of their most advanced facility, that motorsports engineering and manufacturing facility. And what that means is, even though this is still a monoblock cast caliper and comes in at that cast price, it features some of the technology you would find in a much more advanced billet or forged caliper. Now, the traditional M6 caliper from Brembo is obviously an excellent product and still available, but it's made using traditional casting technology. In this new factory, they're using 4D casting technology. I don't know what that means, but people with much bigger brains than me have figured out a way to get billet and forged caliper types technology into a cast caliper, which comes in at a cast caliper price, which we all love. Specifically, they've managed to enable the fluid to move throughout the caliper without the need for any sort of external bridge piping, which is a very popular feature you'll find on traditional cast products. Now everything flows internally. That means no exposed piping that could potentially be hit and damaged by a rock. Just a nice extra safety standard. Additionally, they've been able to go down from 2 bleed valves, which are fairly exposed, to 1 very subtle and almost hidden bleed valve, which means less opportunity for potential damage. And now this might be a little bit vain because it has nothing to do with performance, but the 4D casting has allowed Brembo to go crazy with the design of this caliper. I mean, look at this thing. Does this look like any other brake caliper you've ever seen other than the fact that it's a crescent shape? This thing looks smooth and organic and weird. It looks like an alien fist grabbing the rotor. And I think it's gonna give the car a really unique look, and it's gonna look fantastic peeking out from behind our forged wheels. Of course, there are performance benefits to this 4D casting technology because it enables this BM6 caliper to accommodate a larger annulus rotor. Now, the annulus is the distance from the outside edge of the rotor to the outside edge of the carrier. This is 62 millimeters compared to the 54 millimeters of the traditional M6 Systems rotor. That is a 15% increase in total potential braking surface area, allowing you to have more braking forces from the same size rotor. And furthermore, the BM6 caliper can accommodate a thicker rotor. The 32 millimeter rotor in the traditional 380 is what you'll find on the traditional M6 system. This caliper can accommodate a 34 millimeter rotor. That extra 2 millimeters of rotor is going to give you, yes, again, a slightly heavier rotor, but that's more material that can help with heat dissipation. And of course, heat dissipation, extremely critical in braking performance. And it's also worth noting that the BM6 GT system is the only system that can offer that 34 millimeter rotor in the 380 size. Even the GTS and GTR systems are relegated to the 32 millimeter rotor in that 380 size. And I don't know how to quantify this, and I'm certainly not going to be able to feel it, but this casting process apparently also yields a much stiffer caliper design, and it helps distribute the forces more evenly throughout the whole caliper. And so the moral of the story is that for $100 more than the traditional M6 caliper, you can get this BM6 caliper and all those major performance upgrades, and it looks killer. Next up, let's talk about the rotor in this GT system. Now, the stock rotor on your car is a solid iron design. That means that it's going to transfer all of the heat directly into the wheel hub, and that can cause premature wear. This is a two-piece rotor that sits on an aluminum carrier that has several performance advantages. The first and most obvious is going to be weight reduction. Aluminum is a lot lighter than iron, and it's going to lower that rotational mass that doesn't need to be there. Another major advantage is going to be heat dissipation. It's going to help pull heat out of the actual iron rotor, and it's going to do a very poor job of transitioning that into the wheel hub, which you don't want. Now, this is not a full floating two-piece rotor, but it is a floating two-piece rotor, which sits on H-bobbins with anti-rattle springs. So that means you get the performance of a floating rotor without that annoying rattle that would drive you nuts driving around town. And of course, this rotor has an air gap down the middle with vents that help funnel air through the rotor down the middle to help with more cooling. Brembo rotors come in three different design options. You can get their full drilled rotor, the traditional slotted rotor, or their very unique and exclusive to Brembo Type 3 slotted rotor. Now, the curves of those vanes definitely have some effect in keeping the pad clean, and maybe there's some measurable performance difference between that and traditional slotted, but if I'm honest, the reason we chose these is because they look totally unique and they're going to look killer behind our forged wheels. Now, of course, this rotor also has a corrosion-resistant zinc coating. Now, while we're on the topic of rotors, I'm going to address the fact that the Brembo braking systems are only available for the front of the Corvette. And the reason for that is because the rear brake system has an electric parking brake. Now, Brembo makes that electric parking brake and apparently isn't going to go through the trouble of actually designing a new one for the aftermarket. Now, this frustrates the heck out of me because that means you could sell us double the braking kit. So apparently Brembo upper management hates money. What this means and why it pisses me off so much is I'm going to have OE performance in the rear and aftermarket performance up front. But it also means that I'm not going to have matching rotors. It's going to look weird with this rusty, flat, one-piece cast rotor in the rear and this gorgeous Type 3 rotor up front. So we have a solution to that. We are going to get somebody to pattern match the rotor by cutting this curved vane look into a blank rotor, but that is not what I want to do. I want to see Brembo come up with selling and creating a rear brake. You already make this electric brake caliper. Why not just make an aftermarket one that accommodates a thicker rotor and make it red? Everybody's going to want dual red calipers in the back of their Corvette. This is just a no-brainer to me. Or at a minimum, just make some OE replacement rotors that go in with the Type 3 vanes in it. This doesn't seem that complicated. I love Brembo, but my message to upper Brembo management is, come on. Okay, rant over, moving on. The brake pads that are going to come in this GT system are the FM1000 pads. These are pads that Brembo says are perfect for both street and track. So they're going to perform at the racetrack and stand up to that punishment, but they're going to be good on the street and they're not going to be very loud. Racing brake pads can make some pretty gross noises and you don't always want them on the street. Now, of course, they make street pads that you can drop in and they make racing pads that you can put in, but these pads are the good balance. Of course, the aftermarket is also going to make replacement pads for these calipers, including our friends over at G-Lock Brakes, and they've got a whole range of from street and motorsports pads that are low dust and made from organic materials that are very environmentally friendly, and we love that. And this kit, of course, is going to come with the necessary billet aluminum mounting bracket from Brembo, which is, of course, even just by itself is a gorgeous piece of metal. And it has all the mounting hardware and the banjo bolts that you need to do the install. Now, it doesn't come with stainless steel replacement braided brake lines, as many GT systems do. Brembo has determined that since 2014, the Chevy Corvette has come with extremely high quality and high performance brake lines, and that's nice because it does make the install a little shorter and a little easier, and those brake lines are going to perform at the level that you need, most of the work coming from this BM6 caliper. Now, of course, if you have stock brake fluid in your system, you're going to want to get some Brembo replacement fluid. Doesn't come with this kit, but flush the whole system with proper brake fluid because it's going to make a big performance difference when these brakes heat up. Now, this one's important and a little bit of a bummer. None of the Brembo GT Big Brake systems are going to work with your OEM front 19-inch wheels. These OEM wheels are bulky, they don't have the barrel or the spoke clearance to fit these systems, not even the 350mm rotor version, which is the same as stock. That caliper is too big. So you're gonna need aftermarket wheels. You know what? If you're spending this much money on brakes and you're doing these kind of performance mods, you probably already have aftermarket wheels anyway. But if you need help, you can get the schematics, contact us, we'll give you the cross sections so that you can see the size of these calipers and then figure out what wheels they will work with. Now, we went with the Forge Line GS1R forged fronts. Those have more than enough room to accommodate even the largest of all the Brembo Big Brake kits, this BM6 system. If you need help figuring out how to get this right brake and wheel combination, hit us up at Motoroso.com. We're happy to help. Brembo also offers two other options in their GT line of products. First up is the GTS System. Now, this is only $100 more than their regular base M6 traditional calipers, but it has a hardened anodized coating, which comes in black only, and hardened steel piston, so it can stand up to that extra heat generated at the racetrack. Now, if you don't care that your front calipers are black and your rear calipers are going to be red, and you know you're just really going to be driving this car super hard at the racetrack and generating those extreme temps, that's an incredible value. You're going to want to consider that GTS system. You can also look at the GTR system. This is when you move to a billet monoblock caliper, and it's got all the internal fluid movement and all of Brembo's top of the line technology, and that comes in a 350 rotor for $8,400 and a 380 rotor for $9,000. Now, of course, we are an authorized Brembo dealer and we stock over 1 million other top name brand products at great prices. So if you like what we're doing here and you found this helpful, why not shop at Motoroso.com? Don't give your money to some big mega retailer that just doesn't care. We are here to help you. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, hit us in the comments. We answer every single comment out there, and subscribe to the channel and hit the little bell so you see all the videos we come out with. Thanks for watching.